Okay, thought I'd post a bit of an update of my situation since doing my rants and stuff lately. And people do want to know what's going on. And I really want to thank everybody who's been so supportive in the comments on Reddit, on Facebook, and on YouTube itself. This video is not going to be so much of a response to comments as such, though I probably will in the future. This one is going to be more just telling you where I am now. Um, so it's a bit of an update video, but also to expand on uh, what's going on. There might be some background noise. I'm sort of multitasking while I record this completely unscripted. Um, I'm sorry to say my situation has not improved. If anything, it's possibly gotten a little worse. Had a massive argument with my partner last night over a lost toy, which admittedly was my fault. I actually wasn't careful enough and I made a rather stupid decision um, to put it in the wrong bag because I was just rushing and trying to survive, but whatever. But yeah, no, I've apologised profusely. We've got to a point where we sort of got on a level playing field. I've already gone on to shopping and replaced the toy. It's due to arrive tomorrow, but I'm still having to apologize and stuff like that. But it's the fallout from it was just awful. I just feel like I know that I need to be careful with these things, but it is really hard. And we had a big day yesterday, which is and I had a lot to think about, a lot to focus on. And I know that she also said, when I tried to argue that point, she said, "Do you think I don't have it hard?" I was like, "Yes, of course you do." So a point here, yes, I think my partner is also incredibly overwhelmed and is really struggling with the amount of workload. And I think she is getting frustrated with my so-called um, I don't know if lack of competence is the right word, but I'm going to call it that because I do think I've got a lack of competence. I don't, she remembers these sorts of things quite well, though she does forget things as well. But she's got a lot to do. She's got a lot to think about. She always, as I've mentioned in the previous rant, she always insists that she chooses the clothes because I end up picking the wrong ones that she doesn't like because my fashion sense is awful. Um, and she wants specific things to go together. She's very specific about what she wants. Because for example, she'll leave specific food out for the kids to eat the following day or something like that. And sometimes I just don't see it, and I give them something else when I'm making the breakfast or whatever. And then I'm told off for things like that as well. It's like I do get it. It's like I get where she's coming from. Where she's just like, why do I have to tell you everything? But the thing is, because of my neurodivergence, common sense is not a big is not does not really work for me. I don't have much common sense. I admit it. I really struggle with common sense, and it frustrates me that she just doesn't. I've tried explaining this to her, and she sort of accepts it. She's very accepting of the fact that I'm autistic, that I'm neurodivergent. But it's when I actually do something autistic, that's when she sort of gets annoyed. And I hate it. It's like, and I think she only gets annoyed because it directly affects her. If it didn't affect her, she probably wouldn't mind so much. She'd be much more accepting of it. It's the fact that it affects her, and she's getting overwhelmed trying to look after two kids under the age of 5, and plus trying to sort me out sometimes. I do get it's got to be overwhelming for her, but. But as you've heard, hopefully you've listened to the previous videos I've already done. Otherwise, a lot of this isn't going to make a lot of sense. But as I say, I'm really hiding the fact that I'm really miserable. I feel like I'm having to lie, and this is another thing that's taking its toll on me. I feel, for her sake, I'm having to lie every single day about how happy I am. I don't literally go every day and go, "Oh, I'm the happiest person in the world." I don't do that. But what I am, but I'm actually really miserable in my life at the moment, and only happy at very specific points, like when we're doing something particularly nice. Or sometimes, sometimes my daughter in particular does something really cute, and that does make me happy. I took my daughter out the other day, just me and her, and we had a great time. So it's not all bad, and I do get that. But I feel like I just wanted to explain my motivations a little bit because there are people saying that I should leave, and it's like, believe me, there's a big part of me that wants to, but there's a massive guilt that's coming with it as well because not only because of her strong Christianity faith, she's probably been I don't I don't know. Forgive me for the bad use of the word, but indoctrinated with the societal expectations that marriage and children is the ultimate goal. So she's probably got that in her head in a lot of ways. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, and I apologise if that's wrong. But being married to me and having children was what she ever wanted. It was almost her life goal in a way. It was all she ever wanted. I'm also going to point out the fact that something I've not mentioned is that she had a mental health issue before we were together. And she sometimes cited me as being the reason she got better. I never had a mental health issue before we were together. And I didn't really, even when we were just going out. It was only since I did before we had kids, but that was completely not anything to do with her. It was nothing to do with her whatsoever. Um, but Yeah, so I did have a mental health issue a few years ago, pre-children, because I got burned out with something else I was working on, which probably was a sign that I wasn't ready for children, and maybe I should have learned from that. But I did feel I recovered enough before we got pregnant. But I feel that you know, what the life we're living is everything she ever wanted. And I feel like if I leave, I take that away from her, and I wonder if that's one of the reasons she's being so hard on me all the time. Because I think there's a small part of her possibly that knows how I'm feeling, and I think how I'm feeling, my misery, my upset, my not wanting to do this, even though I'm doing my best and I'm committing to everything I say I'm going to do. I'm not, I'm bailing on stuff, but I think she wants to be part of me, to be really fully in it and enjoying the journey with her. But I'm not. I can't just force myself to, but that's what she wants me to do because it's all she ever wanted. And imagine, I think you got to imagine how you'd feel if you suddenly got everything you ever wanted, and then the one person you loved most in the world suddenly either wanted to take it away from you or told them that you having what you wanted has made their life a living hell. How would you feel? So I'm putting myself in her shoes in that regard, but that is making me not want to leave. So there's that. But honestly, some people have been trying to tell me that they're to not believe in God. I haven't got there yet, and I haven't. Some people have recommended. I'm not responding to too many comments. Some people have recommended I watch some like former Christian channels or whatever, or atheist channels or humanism channels. That might be part of the problem actually. Before she started bringing me to church, I probably was a bit of a humanist, and I'm having trouble letting go of those ideologies. Um, I've still got a lot of those, some of the humanism viewpoints to a certain degree. I personally think that humans should be happy and deserve to be. I don't like this notion of this notion that Christianity teaches, which is human beings are rotten and we deserve to go to hell and we're only going to heaven because we've been saved, etc. I hate that personally. It's wonderful that that Jesus did make such a sacrifice. Did put himself through such torture and everything like that for us. But uh, you know, but at the same time, there's a big part of me that thinks we're the ones on Earth feeling our feelings, while Mr. Invincible's up there on a throne. That's why I think we should be the priority because we are the ones with the feelings. Anyway, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but I just wanted to update you that I haven't really looked into all this stuff, and I don't know if I want to or not. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to open myself up to more pain. But it's a tough one. But right now, as much I get that I've got a lot of good things, but I really, again, I'm really starting to despise God at the moment. I really am. I don't want to because obviously I'm going to church and everyone's preaching about how wonderful He is and blah 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 and worshiping Him and that. And I just want to go. If He was like, if He really was like that, if He really did love us so much, why am I going through this? Now I know that people have said, well, if it's children starve in Africa, blah blah blah. Don't put it in that perspective. It's gotta you gotta not lean on your own understanding. You gotta judge him for his character and not by his circumstances. And yeah, I get all that. But as I said in my previous message, what makes me resentful is the fact that I obeyed what I felt was an instruction from him, and I'm miserable as a direct result of it, like directly. Um, and I can't seem to let go of the fact that had I done what I truly wanted, which was against what his rules or what his book says, I would be happier. I might not be. And that's what people have pointed out to me, saying, you might not be, you might actually find it even worse. And I suppose that could be true, but is there no way? Do we have to go through such horribleness? Or, in their eyes, yes, we do, because human beings sin, because of what Adam and Eve did, blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm going way too much into this, and I might have to expand on this in another talk, but where I am now, I've talked about wanting to go on the ski holiday. I still haven't had that discussion. I know people have said if she really loves you, she'll let me go. Based on conversations I've had lately, I'm not convinced she will. I reckon she'll fight tooth and nail for it. I'll tell you why that is. I am actually taking, or at least at the time of this recording, I'm scheduled to take 2 days away. I planned it on purpose. For my mental health's sake, I really need this. I really need to get away for 2 days. And I'm going to another city where I'm going to do some things I do enjoy doing that I've missed, just as a recharge. The only way I was able to persuade her for me to do it was to tell her it was for work. It was a work trip. Luckily, so again, I've had to lie and I've had that guilt on me. Again, reasons why I'm protecting my identity is because I'm saying stuff like this. The thing is, right, even though I've told her it's a work trip, and it's not far from the truth, I actually do have a work trip to the location I said I'm going to, legitimately, a day or two the week after, but I'm not actually staying overnight there. So I've basically used that opportunity I've used that story basically to get my own 2 days away, and I've done it midweek to make it look convincing rather than doing the weekend. Admittedly, I know some people might criticize me for lying here, but honestly, what I'm about to tell you, you'll hopefully understand why I've had to lie. Because I've already moved the trip dates because she had a circumstance basically where she had an opportunity to get some time to herself um, on the same day because where she wanted to go, it wasn't an overnighter, admittedly, but it was a day out. But the place that she wanted to go and she actually had vouchers for, to be fair, were only free that one day, that one day that I was supposed to be away. Well, actually, they were free 2 days. They were free that day and another day later in the month. But she really wanted to go for the day that I was supposed to be away, that she already knew about. And the reason for that was because if she went for the second day, the only other day that was available in the month, she wouldn't have been able to go due to medical reasons. Which is fair enough. So I decided to make the sacrifice and change the date that I was change the dates that I was going. So I was meant to go a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going this week. And even though I moved it for her so that she could have her time, she is now in the middle of our argument last night, because she's been relatively quiet about it, or relatively okay without it. I guess it was in the heat of an argument, so I shouldn't take it from face value. She suddenly blurts out, "I'm really anxious about you going. I don't want you going." Even though I've told her if it's for work reasons, which again I admit is a lie. Um, but that only because it was the only way I felt I could get her to agree with it. And this is just one night, by the way. This is just one, and I'm wanting to have 7. Admittedly, I do understand under normal circumstances that would be a big ask, but as I've said, I would get so much help involved. And I've basically, again, when the argument had stopped later on, I did try and give her all this reassurance, like, I'll do this many jobs beforehand, so you've got as easy time of it as possible. Um, uh, so you've got as easy a time as possible. So I'll make sure that this job and that job and that job, like sandwiches for the following day and all that, all done well in advance. I'll do it during the day before I go and put it in the fridge or something like that. So you've got an absolutely easy job of it. I think what she's scared of is that safety. It's that safety net. What if, because obviously both our kids are very young. I think I stated what their age is in the previous video, but there is the possibility that both that if one of them is not a great sleeper, the other one is. But if they both wake up at the same time and she's on her own, how is she going to deal with both? We've never been in that situation before, because usually there's been one to deal with one and one to deal with the other. Now, in actual fact, when the baby was very young, there were some occasions where I had to deal with both, and did, but there was a specific way I was able to cope and do with that at the time. I still hated it, but I was able to do it. But that method, that technique I used, would not be able to be done now because he's older, and it would be a big safety problem. It could be that I just need some advice on how she could do that, and maybe I could give that message to her as further reassurance. She did later apologise and say that, because I basically said, if you really don't want me to do it, I'll find a way around it. And she said, don't do that because I'll feel bad. So I think when she said she didn't want me to go, I think that was just in the heat of the argument. But still, it makes me very anxious about going. I want to go and enjoy this time away. But now I'm incredibly anxious about it because she's, in a way, I don't think she's intended this, but I feel like I'm being a little bit emotionally manipulated. The fact that I already had to move it once because she wanted a specific day, I don't know whether it really was legit. I'd like to believe it is, but the fact that I've already had to move it once, and now it's almost like she's subconsciously trying to make me feel guilty enough to cancel it entirely. And interestingly, in the middle of an argument that actually summed up the very reasons I want to do it in the first place, which is completely ironic. I have no confidence at this point that she is going to allow me to have a week away, or even half a week away in another country, which I'm so desperate to do, as I said before, even with me willing to do it for her. I'd get the anxiety, I'd be anxious about it, but I wouldn't stop her doing it. I'd say, you want to do it, I'd pull out all the stops, I'd find ways around it. If it means asking for help from other people, I would do that. I don't know. I just feel like, I know she's not intending to do this, but I feel like I'm being kept prisoner. Anyway, that's all I want to say right now. I don't have much more to add, but yeah, if you haven't listened to the earlier videos, I would suggest you do so. But don't worry if you don't. But thank you again for all your support. If anyone's got any practical advice what to do, and let me know. If you think I'm being an absolute tool, feel free to say. There have been times where I've been like, I actually want to fight. I'm not feeling that right now. But if I am being a tool, then feel free to tell me how I can then sort out my feelings so that I can just cope with the situation I'm in. Because if that's what I've got to do, then that's what I've got to do. But it's like, I just need to know how, because I'm that miserable. And I really don't think I can financially afford proper therapy. Or at least I'm worried about how long it's going to take. Um, on a plus, the self-harming seems to have slowed down for now, though I'm still getting the urges. So I'm working on it, but I feel like it's not it doesn't feel like much of a victory when I'm still really, really wanting to. And it's still happening occasionally. It did happen yesterday. I did, yeah, it's awful. I hate everything about what's happening to me so much that I mean, I did stop for a little bit because I was actually getting headaches from the amount of times I was pummeling my head. And I know I shouldn't do that because my brain's in there and that can cause major, major problems. I absolutely shouldn't do that. But it's the only thing sometimes that just gives me any kind of release when everything's just too much. And I've also had teeth marks in my hands because sometimes I've been biting my hands out of stress, out of frustration, out of desperation to escape. And again, it's another reason why I'm angry at God, because God is ignoring that. He's ignoring it. Sorry. Slight angry voice coming out, but there you go. Anyway, I just said a moment ago that that's all I wanted to discuss, but I just needed to say that too. What I really need is somebody I can trust. Sorry to make this go on a bit longer, but I thought of one more thing. I need somebody I can trust to confide this to that I know. So somebody I can actually play my original rants plus this one, and basically tell. I really need somebody that I actually know because at the moment I'm hiding my identity and posting it online for strangers to listen to. I really need somebody like like a lot of people who are saying reach out to a loved one. I really don't feel I've got a loved one I can reach all this extreme stuff out to. Um, my parents are too close to the grandkids, and I think they'll be very, very upset. Um, and I don't want them to feel like they failed. And they've also said that they already do so much for me already. But honestly, over the time, because of COVID and because of me having had to have distanced myself from a lot of my old friends, because I've been so busy with parenting and had to stay in evenings. I've not been able to go out. I've not been able to arrange anything. I've just grown so distant from my actual friends that I've got absolutely no idea who to go to. I feel like I've got no one that I can actually trust. And the reason I want a loved one or a friend to tell the truth, because at some point I may get to that point where I need to escape and I need somebody to actually help me get out of here. And I may need their support in order to do so. Again, I don't want to but I don't want to just dump this on somebody I've barely spoken to in the last 3 years, you know? Again, I really don't want to dump this on my parents, but at the moment, I don't really know if I have any other choice, but whatever. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening. I really hope I don't think I can think of anything else to say. Thanks again.